Welcome back to Blurred Lines, crime, conspiracy, and the truth behind the gossip. Hosted by me, Ashley, or as I go by on most of my socials, Ashtootrippy. Join me as we deep dive into the murky world of not only crime, but conspiracy and the juiciest gossip as well. Each episode, we peel back the layers of mystery, uncovering the facts, the theories, and the whispers that blur the lines between truth and fiction. Whether it's unsolved cases, mind-bending conspiracies, or the latest scandal, I bring a fresh perspective and a fearless approach to unraveling the unknown. So get ready for a wild ride where nothing is off limits, because sometimes the lines of reality and rumor is a little blurred. So buckle up, guys, and welcome to this new episode of Blurred Lines. Every morning over on TikTok. If you don't follow me on TikTok, that username is Ashtootrippy. Go follow me over there. I also have one for the podcast called Blurred.Lines and the number 5. Blurred Lines was taken, so you know how that works. Anyways, go and follow me over there. I go live every morning. I'm also doing on my YouTube channel, so if you're watching this on YouTube, awesome. But if you're not, on my YouTube channel, Ashtootrippy, I am doing a book reading of Melissa G. Moore's Shattered Silence, The Untold Story of a Serial Killer's Daughter. So as you can tell, I'm using my voice a lot. It's just a lot. I do promise you guys this week, I don't have a date set yet, but I am deep diving. I will be deep diving on the Lady Bird Lake killings and the mysteries surrounding the Lady Bird Lake out in Austin, Texas. I did a YouTube on that, so if you want to refresh yourself on my YouTube video, I'll go ahead and link it in the show notes below. But we're gonna get to it today, guys. I have so much stuff to go over, including Diddy, the Gabby Patito Netflix documentary, and a few things to talk about there. And also, I want to talk about this Michigan mother that left her 3 children in a home, basically to fend for themselves for years. And then we do have an update on Diddy and the Menendez Brothers, and we're going to go over all that today here on Blurred Lines podcast. Okay, y'all, so I just want to reiterate that I apologize for any kind of editing errors or lack of an introduction, because I'm trying to get used to podcasting again. If you guys didn't know, I did have a podcast for a short period of time. I did about 5 to 6 episodes, and I really just didn't have a structure, so I'm getting myself back into doing this, so please bear with me as I catch my bearings on this, okay? Last week, you guys have no idea, I was struggling trying to download the audio file as an MP3, and needless to say, I was doing something wrong and I had to figure it out. Thank you guys so much for being here. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave any kind of reviews. If you guys want to submit any stories for me to go over, or you have suggestions, all my DMs on my social media accounts are open, including the Blurred Lines one for TikTok. Everything else, you guys can follow me on Ashtootrippy. That's where I will be right now. And again, if you guys want to and you find it easier, you guys can also email me at ashtootrippy@gmail.com. I sometimes won't get back to you, but it will be put in my archives as far as what stories or anything you want to go over. I do take advice. The Lady Bird Lake killings one was advice from one of my really close friends on TikTok, and nobody else gave me any suggestions, so that's what we're doing. So if you have suggestions, remember to give them to me. I might be interested in them. Yeah. So we're going to get to it here. I am going to start talking about we're going to start with Diddy today, because I know we ended with Diddy last week. So we're going to start with Diddy today. So on Friday, February 21st, his lawyer filed a motion to withdraw from his defense team. He didn't state a reason why he withdrew. However, he did state, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs. This is his lawyer, Anthony Rico. He made the decision after speaking with Agnifilo. I don't know who Agnifilo is. I'm going to actually look it up here in a moment with y'all, and we're going to find out together, because I didn't do my research. Yeah. He also stated that this would not delay anything, and it would continue for the trial set for May 5th, because he does have 5 other lawyers. So he has a team of lawyers that are helping him. Now, I'm going to look up. So it looks like Agnifilo, it's Karen Friedman Agnifilo. She's an American attorney. It looks like like she's actually the attorney is in some kind of proceedings with Luigi Mangoni, the one that shot the CEO of United Healthcare. She moved to a private practice. I'm trying to see if there what has to do, but I guess this is the advice that Anthony Rico, the one of the lawyers for Sean Combs, stated, that this is what he said after, and this is what he did after he spoke with this woman. She's an American attorney. She's a partner of Agnolifo in as Chief Assistant District DA, Manhattan District Attorney. Okay. Well, it looks like she's very reputable, and it would make sense to why an attorney would then change their minds after talking with somebody so reputable to not go through with this case. Now, there's a couple of things that are going on TikTok that I seen this morning of people stating that the reason Anthony Rico decided not to go forward with helping Sean Combs in his case is because of some kind of obsession with the devil or something like that. And honestly, it just reads like nothing. Like, he never said this. The only thing he said in his statement was that under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs, which basically means he's not confident in the case that they're building for him or building against him. We know that in the court of law, people that have money, it doesn't matter if it's truth or not. A lot of times it ends up in their favor, and that's just the way it is, you know. But yeah, I don't want to make it a normal thing to talk about Diddy all the time, because I think that once the trial comes out, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But I do follow it very closely, just because, again, it's just mind-numbing, because you heard all of this when you were younger, and now all of this is coming into play. So it's very crazy, in my opinion. Now we're going to move on to the Menendez brothers. There is an update. Now, if you guys don't remember, the Menendez brothers had filed a habeas corpus petition and basically wanted a new trial and a resentencing. However, there was a newly elected DA in Los Angeles. His name is Nathan Hochman. He made a statement on Friday as well. Everything happened on Friday, it seems like. He asked the courts to reject the request for a new trial. And so basically he states that it's in the governor's hands. If he wants to do something, he can. This is his suggestion to the courts. This is not him stopping. Now, a lot of people, I get that they don't understand what court, what kind of court things go on, but this is the DA basically rejecting that he does not support opening a new trial. And he basically stated, there's a lot of stuff again going online, but he basically stated that he felt like the letter itself was not good enough as the evidence to stand a new trial. So in my opinion, he's doing it more in favor of the Menendez brothers. And again, this is my opinion and what I felt from watching press conference, because I actually watched it. He only talked for like 3 or 5 minutes. It wasn't that long, but this is what he had said. He just basically said it wasn't a high enough standard to go through with in a brand new trial for the Menendez brothers. And again, he stated the governor can do whatever he wants at this point. If he wants to grant them clemency, if he wants to give them a new trial, he can. They are still looking into the resentencing, because there is a law out in Los Angeles that states that basically if you were found guilty of a certain crime before a certain age, I don't know all of the logistics, but basically if you're under a certain age, they would then look into your case for resentencing. So a lot of people are like, oh my god, like this new DA Hochman, he just wants these people, like it's victim blaming and doing all this. Even the Menendez brothers themselves have said this, and I don't think it's that at all. I think that he's looking at it in a realist perspective, stating that, the letter alone is not something that a jury is going to say, okay, let's do a new trial and it's not going to be worse than the first one. Again, that's my opinion, but that's the way I see it. I'm also a realist, and that's the way I seen it. I think after so long to stand a new trial, a third trial, because again, need I remind you, the Menendez brothers did have a first trial, and then they had to have a second one because of, conflict of interest, bias, and all this other stuff. So for them to then have a third trial, I just think it was unrealistic to begin with. Now, the resentencing, again, is still going to take place, and that potentially could end as time served for them. So it's not to say that this is the end of the road, and I think a lot of people are seeing that, but it's just going to be a little bit more time. And, they've been behind bars for 20 plus years already. I think that if it is meant to be, it'll be meant to be, and that's how it is. Yes, as I stated before with Diddy, the judicial system likes to think and likes to give the rights to the people that can afford things, and sometimes the evidence just isn't in your favor, and it's not saying that anybody is lying or anything. It's just that it's not worth anybody's time or money to go about it that way. That's the way I see it. All right, now if we did not already have a mountain of horrible parents to talk about, this is another horrible parent. This is out of Michigan. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but a Michigan mother leaves 3 children. This happened in Pontiac, Michigan, February 19th. The woman, Kelly Bryant, she's 34. She was charged with 3 counts of first-degree child abuse. So she was arrested a couple weeks after a landlord contacted the Oakland County Sheriff's Department to conduct a welfare check. The landlord was concerned for 3 children living in the home after mother stopped paying rent since October. Awesome of the landlord to do that. Deputies went out to do the welfare check, and they found a boy and 2 girls in the home in deplorable conditions. These are horrific conditions. I didn't even want to look at all the pictures. I seen a few of them, and there was just trash and feces all over the wall. It was highly disturbing. The kids are 12, 13, and 15. The boy had stated that their mother had abandoned them around 2020 or 2021. And they were living off of food drop-offs, quote unquote. They never got hygiene products in years. And after they found them in these deplorable conditions, they went ahead and took them to the hospital. And they did show signs of severe neglect. Can you imagine, leaving your kids, and at the time they left them, these kids were most likely 10, maybe even 9 and 10 and 12, around that age, when she had left them in the home alone. They don't know how to care for themselves properly, much less somebody else caring for them. And it seems like the little boy was the oldest. So again, it's just so sad to think of this, that people do this to their kids. They had no contact with the outside world in years, and they had even admitted they never even went outside. They didn't attend school, and they expressed fear and disobeying their mother. So their main fear for not going outside, not going to school, not doing any of this stuff, or telling people what was going on in their home or what wasn't, the lack of, they were basically scared that their mother was going to do something to them because they disobeyed her. So you can tell already there was some abuse there, and of course neglect. Now, the school district did confirm that the kids had not attended school since 2021. And they did actually that school district did speak out and say that there was papers that were sent over to them that 2 of the children had been enrolled in a different school. So I'm assuming, this is just my assumption here, the mother, Kelly Bryant, who again is 34 years old, most likely forged documents to keep herself out of prison or out of any kind of truancy court, so she didn't have to say, oh, I'm not taking care of these kids. I'm just not taking care of them, you know what I mean? Now, her first appearance in court, she did not have a lawyer, but her second appearance, she entered a not guilty plea, and she's on a $250 million bond. Now, thanks to social media, we do know that this woman was living a normal life. She wasn't on any kind of hard drugs or living on the streets. She was living a normal life. There was pictures taken from her Instagram where she was dressed very nice, very clean, hair done, nails done, makeup done, all of this stuff. To have 3 children that you decide just to leave the house and leave them in the house, stop paying rent, and hopefully they survive by their food drop-offs every week that may or may have not happened every single week, is disgusting to me. It's horrible. I hope that she gets the maximum sentence for this. These kids are going to be suffering for trauma for probably the rest of their lives. And the fact that they're pretty much teenagers and they're going through this, they have to reacclimate to going to school. They have to figure out how to just re-enter society as human beings. It's very crazy that another human being could do that, especially the human being that's supposed to be there to protect you and care for you and love you and all of this wonderful stuff, right? But like I said, there's a mountain of these kind of parents out there, and I don't think it's ever going to get in any kind of control. We're just going to keep hearing about this on a day-to-day basis because we've seen before that people don't take this seriously. A lot of people just say, oh, why are you doing that? That parlays me into talking about Resilient Jenkins. Usually going to be on like my trash talk segment where we talk about TikTok and just trashy TikTok and all this stuff. But the reason it brings me to them is they had an update also with them. If you guys don't follow the Resilient Jenkins, I do have numerous videos on them. You can search them up on TikTok. That's where they went viral for being a family of 7 living in a 1-bedroom apartment. Now, when this all started, it was a family of 6 going on 7 because the mother, Stephanie, was pregnant, but she has had her baby. So they have a newborn baby. Now, the home they live in, the 1-bedroom apartment that I stated, that is her quote-unquote husband. It's not her husband, it's her boyfriend. His name is Drew, and he has that house for him and his disabled son that he got custody of because the disabled son's mother was a drug addict and an alcoholic, so he then won custody of him. Now, I want to add to this because I know a lot of people may have not heard about this family, but I want to add to this too is that these people do not work. So they have been on live and have openly talked about the fact that one, Drew, the dad, does not work because he owes back pay and child support, and he will not work a W-2 job unless it pays over $30 an hour. And he just won't do it. And Stephanie kind of says the same thing, saying that jobs are soul-sucking and nobody should have to conform to jobs. Yeah, you heard that right. No one should have to conform to a job that's soul-sucking. So that's their stance on that. But anyways, this 1-bedroom apartment is Drew and his disabled sons. And he got this on housing because, again, he was a single parent. When he met Stephanie, she had 2 daughters, and they went ahead and moved in with him. This is where it kind of gets murky, is because nobody really knows why she moved in with them. She has parents that full on support her. She was living with them previously. Her husband, her ex-husband, which is the father of, I think, one of her children, I'm not too sure, it might be both. He is a known pedophile that has done atrocious things, and she's still married to him. She claims that she's still married to him because of money situations. Well, yeah, if you're not working for a living and just popping out kids every day, then of course you're not going to get a divorce because of your financial situation. That's just how it is. She basically, they ended up having another kid together, and now Stephanie and Drew have 2 kids together. Stephanie has 2 kids from someone else, and essentially Drew has 2 kids from someone else but only has custody of one. The other one, the mom is on TikTok speaking out and stuff like that. Now, I have heard that the mom of the little boy that Drew has custody of did file custody, full custody, emergency full custody, because right now they're getting evicted. And the main reason they're getting evicted is because they've put all of their dirty laundry, literally all of their dirty laundry, on TikTok. And I shouldn't say I should say Stephanie has literally put all of their dirty laundry on TikTok, because literally That's what she does. Aside from the moldy clothes that she rewashed, aside from the carpets that are filthy that she tries to shampoo every other week, aside from the fact they have two cats that have fleas and also a lot of different issues it seems like that they can't even afford, and also aside from the lice that infest their kids pretty much all the time, these parents do constantly feed their kids. They're constantly cleaning. But their children, the two little girls, Stephanie's two little girls, actually sleep on bunk beds that their supporters bought them in the kitchen. That's where the kids are basically all in the living room and kitchen area, and Stephanie and Drew are in the bedroom. That's where they sleep, is in the bedroom behind a closed door. And Drew is an avid gamer, so he always has his headset on. Now, when they went to eviction court on the 19th, Drew was the only one that went because, like I stated, that was his apartment. And they were basically getting evicted because of the fact that all these people shouldn't be in this apartment. It was for Drew and his son. And so that's why they were here. Now, Drew in court supposedly, and I didn't see no audio of this, but supposedly he stated that he wakes up really early in the morning to figure out things for his family. And why is that? Why do you have to wake up really early in the morning just to survive for the day? Well, that's a good question. Well, not really a good question, but, good observation. But you and Stephanie, so Drew and Stephanie, have admitted again numerous times on the internet that they are unwilling to work. It's not that they can't. It's not that they're disabled. It's not that they don't have babysitters or state funding to send their kids to daycare or anything like that. It's because Drew is avoiding his other responsibilities and his other children, and he fell so far behind that if he works, he's really working to correct his debts to his children, which he doesn't see as an issue that he has that debt. He sees it as something that's hindering him. But I digress. Stephanie has also stated the same. She said she found a man that's going to let her be a stay-at-home mom, and it's too expensive to take kids to daycare, and she'd rather do it herself and all this other stuff, right? How many moms out there would feel like that? Like, literally, how many moms? I did for years when my kids were growing up. I remember a 6-year span that I was working a 9-to-5 job, and I had to have either people that would help me, or they would be in daycare, or I'd have a babysitter. Again, since they don't make that much money and they're in Oregon, which is one of the more impoverished states because of drug use and stuff like that, they could get help with stuff like that. But Stephanie says no. Jobs are soul sucking, and I'd much rather stay at home and attend to my children and my husband and just be here and just not help raise my kids, pretty much. In her mind, she thinks that her being there is better than her kids thriving in a non-trauma household and things like that. So it's crazy to think, but they have to be out of their apartment. Now, again, I said they're going through an eviction. They have to be out of their apartment. I think it said by the 16th of March, they have to be out of their apartment. Now, I don't know where they're going to go. The really good thing about this is that taxes are coming up. We know Drew can't do taxes because of the whole child support thing, but Stephanie can still claim her kids or their kids, whatever. So they're going to be getting a really good chunk. So I'm really interested in finding out if the car is the new home, or if they find another 1-bedroom apartment, or if they find maybe even a studio this time, or are they going to be actual responsible parents and be like, you know what, let's spend all of our tax money and let's get an apartment that's at least 2 to 3 bedrooms, and let's make it work, and let's put the kids in those bedrooms. You know what I mean? But I don't know. There's just so much with this family. Stephanie herself comes online and is very passive aggressive towards creators that are talking about her, claiming that that's what's making those creators money, is talking and bashing her, quote unquote, which nobody is bashing her. Us as mothers, like me, for instance, like I'm not bashing her. I'm simply pointing out that what she's doing is fucked up for her kids, because she's just breeding trauma into their lives. And I just, as a person that has gone through childhood trauma, I can tell you that I wish that some of these people would open their eyes and realize that these kids are going to be suffering for so long in their adulthood. And as a parent, you should want them to not want to suffer. You know what I mean? But anyways, she's just really hurt that other people are talking about her and that she puts everything online. Even though she says she doesn't put anything online, she puts everything online and people talk about it, and she says that they make money off of it, which I'm sure she would love if she could get her hands on some of that money so she can go buy some more ganja, some more sodas, and just kick back and sit there while while everybody else does the work, I guess, because the state's paying for them to live at this point. So it's nauseating, in my opinion. Again, that's all my opinion. No hate. Appreciate. All right, now we are going to talk about something that has been going around because the new Gabby Patito documentary on Netflix came out. It's called American Murder, Gabby Patito. And I don't know if you guys have been following this, but I have been following the Gabby Patito case since it happened. I was on TikTok. I was one of the TikTokers reposting videos and sharing things and trying to figure out things. Now, if you guys don't know, Gabby Patito, or Gabrielle Petito, went missing in August of 2021, and then she was soon found dead. Investigation revealed that she and her boyfriend, fiance, Brian Laundrie, had been on the road filming their cross-country trip. And I'm going to attach an article that I used for this. It's a website by Netflix that kind of gives us like a synopsis of what exactly happens or what the documentary was about. So I will leave it in the show notes below. They talk about parents and all of that stuff in the documentary. And a lot of people are saying, well, actually, Brian's parents in the beginning said that it was quote unquote nothing new. Now, a lot of people are saying right now that a lot of what's in the documentary isn't new, but there was a lot of new things that I noticed. One was there's a picture. I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm not gonna deep dive into this. I'm just kind of going over it. If you guys want to go watch the documentary over on Netflix, it's one of the top documentaries right now. You can't miss it. I also found it when I was over on HBO Max as well, so you could find it on multiple platforms. One of the main things was during this trip, an anonymous caller had actually called into the police in Wyoming and stated that they had seen a man slap a woman on the side of the street. And basically they described the van they were in, and they were able to actually come across Gabby and Brian, and they separated them to figure out what was going on. Brian had some scratch marks around his eye, and Gabby also had some blood on her eye as well. And there was a picture that was taken from her cell phone that we had never seen before, where she does have something visibly wrong with her eye. It could have most likely came from a slap. In this, it infuriates a lot of people because when the police stopped them, they basically named that Gabby was the main aggressor of this altercation. And basically what they did was they sent her away because this was her van they were in. They sent her away in her van. They took Brian Laundrie, her fiance, to a motel in town, paid for the motel, also paid for his dinner for the night. And a lot of people are just really outraged by that because it does feel like they're enabling him a lot, and they joke around with him a lot. And it seems like just because he had some scratch marks on his face, that's what did it. Now, I feel like those scratch marks and everything that may have been said to his parents or his sister from him, I believe that it was something that she was triggered. She was reacting. She was reacting to the abuse that she was receiving, and she was tired of it. She was frustrated. She was indecisive. Now, this documentary reveals that right before this instance took place, they actually had separated for a little bit. And during that separation period, Gabby had contacted an ex-boyfriend she was from high school, and basically expressed her feelings and her emotions about wanting to leave Brian. And a lot of people believe that that is what incited this fight, was that he knew, or he found those text messages. Now, the ex-boyfriend stated that right before the police stopped them, there was a call, or reported missing. He had gotten a call from her. And he believes, and I believe honestly, that Brian was the person that placed that call to see what exactly was going on. But the text messages did state that she was planning on leaving him and she wanted to go ahead with her trip solo, which is rightfully so. Brian did not have any kind of money that he brought to the table. Gabby bought this van. She was working at Taco Bell. He did help her renovate it, but again, I'm sure she bought all the supplies to go ahead and do that. And it just seems like he was a very, I don't really like to say this about many people, but it did seem like he was pretty much a deadbeat that was infatuated with Gabby and dimming her light, in my opinion. Again, this is all my opinion, but that's just what I seen. I do want to let you guys know that Brian Laundrie's sister, Cassie, this is something that's come to light after this documentary was dropped last week. Somebody looked up her, and I guess last year for Brian's death anniversary, she had posted that she hopes, a picture of her brother with her son, and she stated that she hopes that people will understand that men go through this too. Basically insinuating like Brian Laundrie was also a victim of DV. And I believe that maybe that's what he told his parents. Maybe that's what came out, after the fact that after they had found Gabby, or when she had met missing. Maybe that's what had came out. But to really think of it in that manner after knowing everything that we know now is crazy. She is still advocating for that. And there's a new 2020 episode that I really want to watch. It just came out yesterday, I think, so I haven't watched it yet. But it's very, I don't know, the whole Laundrie family, they have their priorities fucked up. Like his mom, Roberta Laundrie, she writes a letter to her son, and it says burn after reading, and basically insinuates that she would help him hide a body and she would bring the shovel and the trash bags. Like, I'm sorry, I have 2 boys of my own, and I'm telling you right now, I would never support that. Never, not in a million years. If they chose to do something like that, I would be the first person to turn them in, because listen, accountability in this lifetime is the only thing you have in your life. And if you're not teaching your kids that as a parent, then you're shitty parents. Again, we're talking about another shitty set of parents. It seems like I should just call this episode Shitty Parents, because that's what we're talking about. Now, back in March of 2024, there was a wrongful death settlement from Brian's parents, Roberta and Christopher, citing basically Gabby's parents were citing mental suffering and anguish over the loss of their daughter, and the fact that they've never spoken, they've never said anything, they've never given any kind of closure to them. This was warranted. Now, they did win. It was a $3 million suit. Now, Gabby's dad, actually, before I filmed this, I saw a TikTok, and he stated that they never received the $3 million. But it was a lawsuit, so I am going to tell you right now. So if they didn't receive the $3 million from Roberta and Christopher Laundrie, Brian's parents, then they can go to jail for that, because that's a lawsuit they're not paying. So they have to be paying some kind of amount to keep the courts off of them. But I get that they probably don't have that amount, but they have to pay it. Like, you can't just sit here and say, oh, we didn't get none of that, because there's something that has to take place. You can't just say, the judge can't just say, oh, you have to give them $3 million, and then they're like, oh, we don't have it, okay, it's done. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, to my understanding, because again, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, to my understanding, you have to make some kind of effort to pay what you can. So I don't know exactly what's going on with that. I'm not going to even insinuate it. But again, a court found that these people needed to pay $3 million for the mental suffering and the anguish, which is rightfully so. Like, I'm not saying they don't deserve it. I'm not saying they didn't anything, but they're getting it some way or another. Some way or another. Now, a lot of people have been saying Brian's parents haven't moved, and people have been basically like going to their house and like doing things to them, like their trash cans get tipped over in their yard every trash day, and like there's just so much that people do to them, and they still continue to live there. And a lot of people, their new theories on this is because like Brian is like underground in the backyard, and they said they seen a hand and all this stuff. I don't believe this. I think that what they seen was a leaf that in a flower bed that his mom was picking up. And of course they're gonna look at the camera. Everybody's like, well, they look at it. Well, yeah, they look at it. It's a drone flying over their house. Of course they're gonna look at a drone flying over their house. But people need to be careful with that, because these people seem like they're the kind to lawyer up, and they're very Karen-esque. So, you know, I wouldn't put it past them to do any of that. But I don't think Brian's alive. I actually looked over some of the autopsy, and from what I understand, they identified him through dental records, and it was not his uncle that identified it. It was the one of the state's coroner's office that identified him. And they did also pull DNA from a femur bone, and they identified him that way. They also stated that it was a majority of the bones that were there, just because there was a couple of bones missing from the foot, and I believe the hand, they had stated. Now, the area where he was found was flooded a couple weeks previously, because in the area, I guess depending on the rain, it floods or doesn't. And just to refresh your memory, Brian's parents actually found him the day they decided to go looking, because they hadn't been looking. They decided to go looking after this reservoir had cleared. They had found him after being out for an hour or two, and they decided to bring back the backpack. Now, we have never been told what was in the backpack other than the note that was given, which basically states that what he did. He pretty much strangled Gabby to quote unquote put her out of her misery, because she had fell in a riverbed that was starting to flood. I don't know if we can believe that or not, but whatever. And nothing else was ever, like, they never talked about, like, the clothing he was wearing or what else he was found with. It was just, like, they found these stack of bones, and pretty much they were all there. There was a couple of signs of very minimal animal disturbance. And then, of course, the rest of the disturbance would have been from the water that was in the area. And trust me, I get that people want to make insinuations and want to think a certain way after, you know, finding things. But remember, guys, that things aren't really that complicated. I do think he off himself. I feel like, in my opinion, I feel like he was a coward. I feel like he knew what he did was wrong, and he got what he deserved in the end, and his family is getting what they deserve as well. Gabby was such a huge light. She was so bright, so vibrant, so full of life. And for somebody to come up and take that just because he was obsessed with her and didn't want her doing certain things. It was my opinion that his main issue was that he didn't want her doing the YouTube thing. Like, I feel like he felt like that was stupid in his opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it was too stupid. Like, you see in this documentary, there's clips of like outtakes of Gabby and him and talking to the camera and stuff like that, and you can just see like the disdain on his face whenever they're doing stuff like that. And you can see that she's just trying to pretend like everything is normal, which in DV situations, that's how things happen. And yeah, she does have the Gabby Patito Foundation. Her family had started in her name, and basically with the Gabby Patito Foundation, it does help people that are in DV situations or have been in the same circumstance that Gabby has been in. So very great cause. If you guys go on their website, they sell a lot of different merch, and it just seems like her family's just trying to keep her memory alive in the best way possible, and they're trying to still have hope in their hearts too, because it seems like, you know, with a lot of things like that happen like this, it's hard to find the hope that you have for the rest of the world. And you know, having to look at the parents and them not talking, and the sister not talking, and the talking about certain things and all of this stuff. It's so sad. It's so sad. All right, you guys. Well, that's all I have for today, but thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it so much. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever you do on the platform you're listening to. I also want to remind you guys that I do have this podcast available on not only Apple Podcasts now, but also on Pandora. I'm still working on the iHeartRadio and TuneIn portion of this, just in case you guys listen to that. But if it's not available wherever you listen, let me know. Shoot me a DM or send me an email and let me know, and I'll make sure it gets on that platform specifically. Again, guys, this week I am going to be dropping the first deep dive we're going to have, which is the Lady Bird Lake killings out in Austin, Texas, and the mysterious circumstances that surround all these killings that are going on out there. I did do a YouTube video again. I will link it down below for you so you can check that out. But if you guys have any case suggestions or any stories you'd like me to go over, or even anything you guys want me to read on air, I really want to start doing a segment where it's your guys' personal stories, and you can definitely remain anonymous. You guys can message me or DM me on any of my social media platforms under Ashtootrippy. I do have a TikTok for Blurred Lines. The username on there is blurred.lines and the number 5. Find me over there. Go follow me. We talk about things a little bit more in depth in the comments, things like that. And if you guys have any suggestions, you can also email me, ashtootrippy@gmail.com. I'll get those for sure. So if you're ever worried, that's the way to go about all of this, is just email me. Again, these are available over on my YouTube channel, Ashtootrippy. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I hope you guys stay positive, stay awesome, and don't forget to be yourself. And we'll talk about it next time. Okay, guys? Bye. This is a Trippy Studios production.